Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still running into this important area of resistance. And tomorrow, we have a new Fed meeting, which could significantly affect markets. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment. Definitely stick around. First of all, talking about the new FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, which is happening around this time tomorrow. More specifically, it's happening at 6 p.m. GMT time on the 22nd of March. And as of right now, the majority of the market expects a 25 basis point hike because on the high end, interest rate right now, well, the Fed funds rate right now is sitting at 4.75%. And based on both consensus and the trading economics forecast, these predict rates to go up to 5%, which means another 0.25% added onto the Fed funds rate. And now, if you take a look at the futures market, what this is pricing in is around an 83% probability of a 25 basis point hike and around a 17% chance of zero hike, so no change to interest rates. But once again, that's only around a 17% chance based on what the market is pricing in right now. So most of the market has already priced in the 25 basis point hike. Once again, almost everyone is already expecting a 25 basis point hike. And so this just means if we do end up seeing the 25 basis point hike, which once again means raising the Fed funds rate or raising interest rates by 0.25%, then in that case, we likely won't really see too much action in markets. We could see a little bit of short-term volatility because once again, this is not 100% priced in, and instead only around 83 to 84% priced in, with part of the market pricing in for no rate hike, which means if we do end up seeing the 25 basis point hike, we could still see some short-term volatility, but it likely won't be anything too crazy because once again, almost everyone is already expecting this. But if we end up seeing anything other than a 25 basis point hike tomorrow, then that is when we could see a lot more volatility. So for example, if we see either no rate hike at all, or if somehow we see a 50 basis point hike, then that would be extremely volatile for markets. But at least as of right now, there's pretty much no chance that we will see a 50 basis point hike, and there's a very low chance that we will see no rate hike. But if we do end up seeing that lower probability outcome, so if we see a pause in interest rates, then technically that should be bullish for crypto because basically the lower interest rates are, the better that is for asset prices. And speaking of lower interest rates, taking a look at the probabilities for future Fed meetings heading all the way into 2024. And what we can see here is that it is very likely the Federal Reserve will be cutting interest rates in the second half of this year. Because based on the futures market, once again, we're likely going to see another 25 basis point hike tomorrow, and then possibly one last 25 basis point hike in the Fed meeting that we have in May. But after the May Fed meeting, we will likely see a pause in interest rates for a couple of months, and then heading into the second half of this year, that is when we could begin to see interest rates come back to the downside. And historically speaking, when the Federal Reserve pivots from rate hikes to a pause and then rate cuts, this has historically been bullish for both Bitcoin and the crypto market. Because if you look at the only time this has happened throughout Bitcoin in crypto's history, this happened in early 2019 and again just after the March 2020 crash. First of all, in early 2019, that is where we saw a Fed pivot from rate hikes, which is what we saw throughout the 2018 bear market, into a pause in interest rates. Once again, in early 2019 is where we saw that pivot point. And just a few months after that pause started in early 2019, we saw rate cuts. And if you're taking a look at that time on the Bitcoin chart, that was right around here. Once again, we saw rate hikes, so interest rates going to the upside throughout the 2018 bear market. And then the Fed paused interest rates right here and pivoted to rate cut right along here. So basically, the Fed pivot happened right here. And then if you're looking at the next significant Fed pivot point in the federal funds rate, which was just after the March 2020 crash, which is where the Fed basically dropped interest rates from close to 2% all the way down to near 0%. And once again, this happened just after the March 2020 crash, so entering into early April 2020. And if you're looking at the Bitcoin price during that time, we were sitting at around $5,000 to $6,000 just before a bull market started. So once again, we saw a Fed pivot point right around here and another major Fed pivot point right around here. So historically speaking, Fed pivots where the Fed goes from rate hikes to pauses to rate cuts have been bullish for Bitcoin and bullish for crypto. And once again, we're likely going to see that this year. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this right here is the daily Bitcoin to US dollar chart. And right now, as I'm recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still running into this important range of resistance, which is coming into play in between 28,000 going up towards around 29.5k. And as for support on the daily time frame, we still have this price range, which was previous resistance, but should now be acting as new support, which is coming into play in between 24.3k to 25.2k. And obviously, as for the trend right now, this has not changed on the daily time frame. We are still obviously trending in the bullish direction, but here in the shorter term, on the 4-hour time frame, we have an active bearish divergence playing out, as I mentioned in my last video. But it is important to mention that this bearish divergence is only on the 4-hour time frame, which means it's only a short-term pattern, and these usually last for around 1 to 2 days or so, and it's already been over 1 day for this bearish divergence playing out in choppy sideways price action, which is one of the most likely outcomes for a bearish divergence. So potentially over the next 1 day, we could still see reduced momentum in the shorter term, perhaps until the next Fed meeting, which could then cause more volatility in the markets. And as for the Bitcoin dominance here on the weekly time frame, this is still running into important resistance, which is a price range right here sitting in between around 47.5% going up towards around 48.5%. So over the last 1 day, nothing much has changed here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know what's happening on this chart right here, then check out my last video on this channel to find out more. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily ETH to US dollar chart. And right now, as I'm recording this video, the price of ETH is still currently running into this area of resistance, which is coming into play in between 1770 to 1.8k. So of course, in order to see a confirmed breakout above 1.8k, we need to confirm at least one daily candle close above 1.8k, which we haven't seen just yet. But if we do end up confirming a breakout above 1.8k, then in that case, we have more resistance at around $2,000. And as for support, we have this price range in between 1650 to 1.7k. And obviously, as of right now, the trend has not changed here on the daily time frame. Even though the price is currently battling this resistance, we are still technically in a bullish trend here on the daily time frame. And now, if you're zooming into the shorter term, this is the 4-hour time frame. And as you can see here, we still have a bearish divergence playing out just in the short term, as I also said in my last video, which basically means we're due to see reduced bullish momentum in the shorter term. And once again, these usually last for around 1 to 2 days or so if you're looking at the 4-hour time frame. And already it's been over 1 day since this bearish divergence began playing out, which means potentially over the next 1 day, we could continue to see some choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback in the shorter term. Once again, reduced bullish momentum in the short term. But like I said earlier in the video, this could change with the next Fed meeting happening tomorrow, which could bring about more volatility. And if you want to prepare for that volatility and make money no matter what direction the price takes, then make sure to check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left of your screen shows you how to make money if the price is either bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.